Welcome back to Tampa City Council Watch. My name is Megan, she, her, with Tampa Bay Activist Network. I'm so happy you're here. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay in touch with everything that's happening at our city council.
Hey everyone, I'm Tori with the Black Collective Movement. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Alrighty, so let's get into what happened on Thursday, January 14th at City Council. It took place at the Convention Center, which has been the holding place for City Council since COVID.
Our fearless leaders at City Council had quite a heavy agenda, and frankly, not much of it was exciting or pertinent, but we're here to deliver you the highlights. Let's see what they're talking about.
We continue to meet on the Apprenticeship Ordinance with community stakeholders for some, incremental changes and whatnot.
Listen, I appreciate Councilmember Vieira fighting hard for an apprenticeship ordinance, which the big developers in the city are fighting against. However, I wish he would just, listen to Black and marginalized constituents.
Right. What stakeholders is he talking to exactly? I mean, what Black leaders is he talking to? And not just the NAACP. What about Black people in Forest Hills, Sulphur Springs? Who from the disabled community, the transgender community, and or the returning citizen community is at that table? Do you know of any organizations that might be involved in the community that could, give them any ideas?
Let me think about it. I don't know. I would share the People's Safety Coalition organized over hundreds of residents last year, and that coalition itself involves other organizations like the Black Collective Movement, Tampa Bay Activist Network, Restorative Justice Coalition, Dream Defenders, and so many more. Guess none of those organizers are any of their constituents or stakeholders, huh?
Yeah, it's not like we're invisible groups. I mean, we practically lived at City Council last year. I guess there's just no stake in it for Vieira, so we're not stakeholders. I mean, the People's Safety Coalition did a community survey where nearly 400 Tampa constituents were polled of every race, gender, and income level. One of the top priorities was jobs. According to the Census Bureau, the city of Tampa has nearly 19% of its constituency at or below the federal poverty level. Due to systemic racism, a large number of Tampanians in poverty are, in fact, Black, and due to transphobia, we know so many transgender residents are unemployed or underemployed.
Yeah, and according to Councilmember Bill Carson's Tampa scorecard, the city of Tampa has the second highest unemployment rate in Florida, with 4.7%, 19% in poverty, and nearly 5% in unemployment.
The People's Safety Coalition has a robust jobs program plan that would be a trailblazer in changing the paradigm. And don't get us wrong, we support apprenticeships and alternatives to college programs. They have strong value.
Good. I think we ought to move this to May because it needs time for the proper research to be done and for proper public input to be gathered. The problem is the way the project has been presented, and I think it's part of an old culture in the water department that the new mayor and administration have been trying to change.
I can really appreciate Councilmember Carlson advocating for transparency and not rushing into things, especially when it comes to our water supply. But I have to say, I haven't seen quite the same energy from him when it comes to Tampa police. For those who don't know, the city of Tampa conducted a focus group with TPD and mental health organizations like Grace Point. This is due to council members' motion last year to create a $1 million line item on the budget for a mental health program.
And to remind you all why this is important, a large number of Tampa residents, including the People's Safety Coalition, had been advocating for a crisis responder that mirrors Cahoots in Eugene, Oregon. Cahoots has been able to respond to 98% of the crisis calls without police, handcuffs, tasers, or guns, only using police 2% of the time. Yet our city council is so hard-pressed to create a co-response program with Grace Point. Like, why?
On Tuesday, January 12th, the TPD had a private focus group between them and the mental health stakeholders. We, the taxpayers, were once again locked out of that. It was behind closed doors, and we verified that with Constance in the purchasing department. I guess we, the taxpayers, will never be stakeholders to them.
We cannot do that. We have to build trust. We have to bring out honest, factual information and give the public choices.
Yeah, build trust and give us choices and, listen to us.
City employee Vanessa McCleary received a commendation for her service as she moves on from the city in her role as Housing and Community Development Manager.
Housing is a big issue across the country, especially in our city. Sorry that you're moving on to bigger, better things, but I'd like to say a few words.
I am leaving the City of Tampa government. I just feel that I can do more to expedite affordable housing and help build the community from the outside.
You heard that, right? She can do more to expedite affordable housing from outside the city. Mind you, the People Safety Coalition only asked for $30 million to be moved from TPD's ballooned budget. Imagine what now former city personnel like Vanessa McCleary could have achieved if those departments were supported as strongly as our council supports TPD.
I know personally, I didn't know enough about affordable housing, and in the last year and a half of working with you, you taught me so much.
I mean, at least Councilmember Dingfelder is honest. It's sad that we elect people in office that think affordable housing is an issue that you don't need to know enough about before you run. According to the Economic Policy Institute Family Budget Calculator, a family of 5 would need to pay about $16,000 a year for housing. I wonder why we can't make affordable housing a priority in this city. Let's listen to what Ms. McCleary says about funding.
When the next budget comes through, please, please, please make sure that there is funding in there. They work very hard. A lot is asked of them, and it's not fair. I think they do need more staffing and more funding. We can't do this all just on government funding.
Well, imagine that. It's almost like City Council has been told they need funding for housing on the inside and on the outside. Guess they don't listen to Black women employees either. At least their misogyny is consistent.
I appreciate your hard work, and I also felt bad that we weren't able to help you, but you did a lot with the limited staff and limited budget, and we're all going to keep up the good fight to put more money and resources in affordable housing.
I can't help but notice that Councilmember Carlson said, "I wish there was more we could have done to help you." I seem to think he voted in favor of giving the police an additional $13 million during the budget last year, and has since approved budget items to give them even more money. Am I right?
Actually, no. Let me pull up the video of Carlson stepping right up to help McCleary and the people of Tampa on this pressing issue during an unprecedented pandemic. Yeah, that's the whole video. He did vote for the budget last September to increase TPD by $13 million and has supported budget line items since. Don't let these privileged white men sit behind the counter and tell you they wish they could have helped you more. He had all the ability to speak up, but instead fell in line.
It's disappointing, but not shocking. Hopefully the voters remember that. He did say he was going to keep fighting the fight, so let's keep that in mind in 2023, shall we?
I think your words on additional funding for staff is very well taken. I think it goes to a larger issue, which is the public perception. There's a perception of the bureaucracy and this and that, whereas the truth is that these kinds of social services in our country and in our city and in our county and in our state are woefully underfunded.
Councilmember Vieira is right. Social services are woefully underfunded. Let's play this video of Councilmember Vieira objecting to increasing the police budget last September and instead pushing to fund housing and other social programs.
Dang, it looks like that didn't happen either. It's amusing to me how they're just sitting there and acting like they don't have the power, they don't have the authority to manage the budget. It's literally their job.
The environment is an important issue, and for those of you newer to activist spaces, you'll learn about environmental racism and how climate change impacts the most marginalized, because of course it does. The Sierra Club came to City Council to speak on the climate issue. Let's see how that went down.
What's the big vision for the environment in Tampa Bay? So I'll be quiet and let them speak.
Thank you. I'm Phil Compton, Senior Organizing Representative with Sierra Club. And with me today is Brooke Errett, Organizing Representative with the Florida Food and Water Watch. Brooke.
Okay, is our presentation slideshow? There we go.
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
I mean, this is nothing against the Sierra Club and their work, but we can't help but notice that no one in the People Safety Coalition got an invitation to present on our issues, and certainly no one was sponsoring us.
Happy New Year, and thank you for prioritizing our presentation at this first meeting of the year. We want to start by thanking Councilman Citro for sponsoring this legislation and Councilman Carlson for initiating this presentation.
And that's exactly why Citro's gotta go. He sponsored this, which is great, but wouldn't even meet with the People Safety Coalition despite our numerous requests before passing the budget to increase TPD last September, only asking afterwards as a thinly veiled attempt to placate us. I said earlier that the environmental issues are in fact impacting Black and brown people harsher, and that is very true. However, it does impact white people in Bayshore and South Tampa too, when it gets as bad as it has. So now that this is a white people issue too, suddenly the Citros of the world care. Just like the disparity between the crack crisis and the opioid crisis. I mean, we want the environment to be safe, of course, but thought we would point that out. Thanks for nothing, Citro. What's new?
Mayor Castor is following her plan, her commitments, and her priorities and leading the way with the appointment of her new advisory council on sustainability and resilience. We're very lucky to have Mayor Castor working to lead our city, district, and nation to a future with clean energy for all.
Hearing the organizer with the Sierra Club say, "We're lucky to have leaders like Mayor Castor," certainly doesn't sit well with me. Dominique Mulkey was not lucky, nor was Jonas Joseph, neither was Jason Westcott, Jason Turk, or Pastor Arthur Green. Certainly, Jay Passmore and Jonisha Wilkerson weren't so lucky either.
This energy task force seems nice, and they even have buy-in from U.S. representatives. Meanwhile, all Black people in the city got was a behind-closed-doors task force and spineless city council members. We clearly see where priorities lie.
This is our chance as a city to be the leader, not only in the state, but in the country and the world.
Interesting. So it turns out Citro can not only attend meetings, he has a passionate spirit. I guess that spirit just doesn't come to life when it's mainly Black lives on the line. I'm happy he's spearheading this important climate change, but it rings hollow to me when Black lives are always under attack by a department he said he will always stand behind. I don't blame him for standing behind them, though. According to public records from the Supervisor of Election, he accepted at least $2,750 from criminal justice beneficiaries, including $1,000 from the police union and lots of cash from his supporters at Roche Bail Bonds. Bail bonds, folks, make big coin off the oppression of Black and or poor people, so keep that in mind.
Are you saying if the People's Safety Coalition put down some cash, Citro might, have our backs? That's a little wild if you ask me. Are you implying in America you pay to play? That our democracy has a price tag and a complexion? That can't be the America I know. The America I know is steeped in diversity and fairness. Let me show you a video of the America I know. The one that is open, fair, and devoid of hate, racism, or any kind of discrimination.
Dang, well, just so you all know, later in the agenda file, number PS 2166264, was on the table to approve $1,592,700 for TPD to use for lighting. I mean, $1.5 million, but yet City Council wants you to believe that they're helpless and they can't fund social programs. They voted in favor unanimously for this budget line item, but don't fall for their woe is me.
This is on top of another over $1 million grant they approved unanimously to approve night vision goggles. I suppose they need night vision goggles so they can more clearly see Black people to oppress at night without squinting their eyes. Wow. I personally know that these goggles will be used to harm the Black community even more than they already are.
Pretty disturbing when you think about it. They were woe is me about how they couldn't do more for housing earlier, and then just moments later, they went and gave TPD even more money against all of our wishes as residents. At least we have a close watch on them now. Go online and find your city council members, call them and email them, not just once, but weekly. Meet with them if you can. They need to hear from everyday people like you and me. No peace for any of them until they do what is right.
Hey. We're not shocked, but we still have to get the word out. Don't let them fool you. They know what they are doing. Subscribe to our channel and look in the description for some follow-up actions. Be sure to share our channel and stay informed. Stay tuned for another segment of Frontline Activist Message. Again, I'm Tori, she, her, hers, with the Black Collective Movement of Tampa, and I'm out.
And I'm Megan, she, her, with Tampa Bay Activist Network. See you next time.
The city of Tampa conducted a focus group with TPD and a mental health organizations like Grace Point.
I think that's important to talk about.
It was a private focus group between them and mental health stakeholders, but it looks like most people were locked out of that, like we're not let in, but we are stakeholders because we pay taxes.
And what sort of mental health stakeholders are they even referring to? Are they referring to like one local therapist and a USF professor? Like... Right. Who are these people?
Right.
Probably not people who need those services.
Right. Or like one of your cops that happens to also minor in psychology.
You joke, but that's probably one of them.
It's unfortunate that the people that they serve are not included in the conversation. And especially the people that are going to be most affected by this program that should be custom tailored to. When it comes to the mental health program, I just think that Tampa is moving at a snail's pace only because TPD wants to have full control. They don't want to have a co-response. It's crazy to say that because a city next to us, St. Pete and then Orlando, they've already way quicker than us. And we just got the $1 million grant approved and all this stuff. And it even seems like before that this is something that's been in the talks. So for them to come out the gates as slow as they're going, it just shows how much they want to keep control over this.
Yeah, like they have no trust in anybody else. And it goes down to, and I'm going to say it, the fact that we have a literal cop as a mayor. Right. And I briefly talked to sometime, I'll keep it short, about how there's different types of mayor systems in Florida. There's like a strong mayor and a soft mayor, and we have a strong mayor system. So she has so much pull, Jane Castor.
Why wouldn't they want to give up just like a little smidgen of control? Like, what are they losing? They're losing access to terrorizing Black and brown people, first and foremost. They're losing legitimacy because these mental health checks are one of like the few good things that police officers are supposed to do, right? People sort of justify police even existing in the first place by being like, yeah, sometimes they mess up, but there's violence, they come and help you, and they do house checks and they do mental health checks. So if you start peeling apart these good things that police are doing, right, then it makes it more clear to people, oh, we didn't need police for that. What else do we not need them for? They don't want any inch of that facade to go away because they lose their power.
In Tampa, like 24% of police calls were mental health related. That's a fourth.
That's huge.
Yeah.
TPD is trying to preserve their control over mental health calls, likely because one of the reasons is because 24% of calls are mental health calls. But like having a mental health response team that is still connected to TPD defeats the purpose of having a mental health response team
in the first place.
That is not, I guess that's like really important to me to point out, because people see this and they're like, oh, cool, progress. And you don't know until you read the fine print.
There's always a fine print. And it's like, why is basic human necessities so conditional?
It's so strange that authority in general doesn't see that there's supposed to be a relationship between the people and them. There's supposed to be a good relationship. It's like, if you guys include us in on the conversation, we would come to some kind of resolution, something that makes sense, and it's just sad.
It's almost as if the things that we want are in direct contrast to their own interests. There's not even compromise. It's like they're just digging their heels into the ground. And I feel like some of that stuff maybe they would even like agree to, but because it's us, because we're saying it, they're like, nope.
Right.
No.
They all voted unanimously on Jane Castor's $13 million increase to the police budget.
We have money, and you can be putting small amounts of the already inflated budget into the community, and we know that will pay itself off, because putting money into that kind of stuff leads to less crime, and then you don't need as much into the police.
It's almost as if crime is a social construct, and people are kept in poverty so police can terrorize them and put them in prison.
Funding police and putting people into the school to prison pipeline. Right.
But I think of TPD and them raising the budget, especially amidst all the protests.
Read the room.
Just that, reading the room, even with the council members, it doesn't feel like you're speaking to people that we elected to be there. It just feels like we're speaking to extended parts of the police.
Yeah, I'd also like to let other people watching this know and remind people, all of these people are Democrats. Did you know Orlando was a police officer as well?
Goots, yeah.
Goots. Yeah, he was a cop. He loves cops as well, but all of them love cops. They all voted yes on it. So like they're all pro-cop.
The mayor is a former police officer, and she said it to us personally that she lives in two worlds, where it's like she has her hat for the police and then her hat for, the people.
She said that?
Yeah. And it's like, with that being said, who do you actually work for?
What was her other hat? Sorry. So she has a cop hat, and what's the other hat?
The cop hat, and then the mayor hat, which would, I guess, be for the people.
She didn't just like take the cop hat off when she became mayor. Like,
right.
She still has her cop hat.
If I were to just summarize in conclusion what I feel is the situation that the people are in with the authority, there is no kind of compromise because they have the upper hand. They have the mayor,
Yeah.
they have all these other people. So whenever you come at them, whether it be protests or speaking nicely to them, if you're saying something that they don't agree with, you're going to be treated the same.
If you've been at least somewhat in the loop with what's been going on at City Council, you would find out very quickly that every 2 weeks when they meet, oh, they're voting on another $1 million grant for the police. Oh, they're proposing $500,000 for X, Y, and Z.
They're gonna get missiles at one point. It really is gonna be like our interballistic missile budget. For who? For why?
To preserve the power and to keep oppressed peoples in their place. But it also speaks to how threatened they are.
Yeah.
Why else would they be wanting this extra stuff? I think maybe out of 50 large cities in the United States, Tampa had the largest budget increase, and that's not even counting all the extra stuff. So,
And also where their priorities lie, because we're in the middle of a Panera Bread, and all that money could have gone to like testing, PPE equipment. We just had a cold front. All of our houseless folks could have done with some small houses. People will build them, pay them. Okay, I digress. Citro gotta go. Let's sit it.
So could you like summarize why he's being recalled, just for people who might not know?
Sure. So like Citro was one of the main people that in these city council meetings, he was absolutely just like resistant to listening to people. So that's why we're calling Citro, among things that he's probably currently doing right now.
And didn't he literally like not meet with people? And
yes, I don't even remember a time that someone was able to even meet with Citro. So I will say I'm definitely excited to have the Citro Gotta Go movement. I'm super excited for y'all and like everybody watching to see what that is, and it will definitely send like a wake up call to city council and other members in public service to be like, oh, they'll actually like boot me like if I'm not doing my thing. But we're pretty much done here. See you somewhere on the interwebs.
yes.
Bye.
Peace.